From the first 356 of 1948, Porsche automobiles were built with metal bodies. First made of aluminum, then steel, the 356 was the forebear of a long line of aluminum-bodied racers. Blessed with lightweight, good handling, and decent power, early racers such as the 550, RSK, and RS61 were well suited to the endurance races of their time. The year 1964 would bring a change in the construction of Porsche competition machines. It would have a major effect not only on future Porsche racers, but also on sports car and prototype racing around the world. Introduced in 1964, the Type 904, or Carrera GTS, was a radical departure for Porsche. The body, built by the Heinkel Aircraft Company, was made from fiberglass reinforced plastic, bonded to a cross-braced ladder-type chassis, and resulted in an extremely rigid vehicle.
All the German cars were generally metal through the 50s and 60s, and all the Porsches that they had been racing with 356s as well as the RSKs and the RS60s and RS61s were all aluminum. And the 904 was their first plastic Porsche, plastic-bodied car. They all had steel or aluminum frames. And then when they succeeded in the 904, they had plastic bodies on all of the cars. And so it was because of the departure of the Porsche racing department from aluminum to plastic is why we've always called them that. And they were unusual in the sense that there was a discrete series of them.
Built to race in the 2-liter Grand Touring class, the 904 was powered by a 2-liter flat 4 that yielded 180 horsepower. Coupled to a 5-speed transmission and a ZF limited slip differential, the Carrera GTS was capable of 160 miles per hour.
The 904 was basically a car that the Porsche factory thought they could charge a premium price for and have an outstanding GT car for their customers. They actually laid down a run of over 100 cars, and they would keep 10 for factory racing, and then they would sell the other 90-plus cars to their customers, and they wanted it to be a GT car.
Of 120 904s built, 104 used the 4-cylinder engine, 10 used the 6-cylinder from the 911, and 6 were equipped with a 2-liter flat 8. Fitted with disc brakes, rack and pinion steering, and 4-wheel independent suspension. It was a light, quick and well-mannered machine. One of Porsche's finest designs, the Carrera GTS was considered to be the last streetable competition Porsche. Its clean uninterrupted lines, not hindered by spoilers, scoops, and other add-ons, hit a tough heart. Among its many victories, the 904 took first and second at the Targa Florio in 1964, and second overall in the 1965 Monte Carlo Rally, a brutal event in which a mid-engine racer was thought to be at a disadvantage.
There are no cars built today that can stay with the 904 on a twisty road, and not very many racetracks for that matter. It's a wonderful design by the factory, no question about it.
The successor to the 904, the 906 made its debut in 1966. A new class, Group 4 competition sports car had been added, and the 906 was designed to win it. Also known as the Carrera 6, it was as much of a departure from the 904 as the 904 was from earlier Porsches. The first project for Ferdinand Piëch, the 906 was to be a racing car from the start with no concessions to road use.
Ferdinand Piëch, who was in charge of the race department at the beginning of the 906, wanted to get rid of the 904's relatively heavy fiberglass bathtub monocoque construction. He wanted to build a space frame with a lighter weight plastic body, so the car would be more competitive in the 2-liter class. So his uncle, who was Harry Porsche Jr., running the company, said you could do that, but you had to use all the 60 sets of suspension and interior parts that we've already purchased for the second series of the 904, which was to be a car that looks like the 904 but have the 6-cylinder engine.
The Carrera 6 used a steel tube space frame and many of the 904's mechanicals. To comply with the class rules, 50 examples had to be built and inspected by the FIA to be legal. Such a large production run of pure racing cars was such a strain on the Porsche race shop that the manufacture of the frame and body were done by outside suppliers. Suspension and brakes were carried over from the 904 as well as the engine and transmission from the 904-6. Power output was now up to 210 horsepower, with a later fuel-injected version slightly stronger at 220 horsepower. This version would push the 906 to a top speed of 185 miles per hour.
So Piech changed the car from a GT car to a pure race car. And so the 906 and the 904 share the corners of the suspension corners, and that's about it. But they do have the same engine gearbox. The 906 was a couple hundred pounds lighter and had a stiffer frame, so it was a better race car.
The body is where the 906 completely set itself apart from the 904. While the Carrera GTS was an aesthetically pleasing design, the Carrera 6 was anything but. High wheel arches front and rear, an extremely low nose, and very large front and rear greenhouses, all made of fiberglass, gave the impression that the body was designed around the mechanical components. The doors are a gullwing style to allow access to the interior over the wide sill area. The rear body section is hinged at the rear to allow access to the engine and transmission. As pretty as the 904 was, the 906 was a single-purpose, no-compromise racing machine. A successful design from the start, the 906 was first in class at Daytona in February of 1966, finishing 6th overall, an overall win in the Targa Florio, and many class wins by both factory and private entrants proved the strength and speed of the Carrera 6. A special long-tail version, the 906LM, Longheck finished 4th, 5th, and 6th in the 24 Hours of Le Mans, beaten only by the 7-liter Ford GT40 Mark IIs. By the end of the 1966 racing season, the Carrera 6 had accomplished what it was designed for. Total domination of the 2-liter class, Group 4, Sports Car World Championship. The 906 was unique in many ways. From its gull-wing doors, which led to the nickname Batmobile, and several different body configurations, both long and short tail, the 906 proved to be a very versatile racer. Its single-purpose design was a major break from established Porsche policy. From this point on, Porsche race cars were designed from the ground up as racers, not derived from road vehicles. Fast and sturdy, the 906 was the basis for other designs, which would soon be capable of overall wins, not just class victories. The Carrera 6 was the forerunner of a whole new generation of Porsche competition machines. The first of these was the 910. Introduced in late 1966, there were two versions. A Spider, equipped with a 2-liter 8-cylinder, and the Coupe, powered by either a 2-liter flat 6 or a 2.2-liter flat 8, producing some 270 horsepower. The windshield was carried over from the 906, but the suspension was changed dramatically. Both the Spider and the Coupe used a suspension design similar to the Formula One cars of the day, with 13-inch wheels at all four corners. The Spider, built as a hill climb car, differed from the Coupe in other minor ways.
Little things like they'd have a 2-gallon gas tank, they'd have a 1-gallon oil tank, they used balsa wood pieces on it. It was a pretty thin machine, but actually there was the first hill climb Spider with a space frame was called the Roland Villars, after a hill climb in Switzerland, Spider, which had a similar space frame to the 910. And it used all Formula One Lotus corners on it, which Porsche factory bought from Colin Chapman at the German Grand Prix in 1965. So then they established that the 13-inch wheels and rubber from the Lotus would be advantageous because the Formula One cars were running that same 13-inch race rubber.
The body was changed in a number of ways from the 906. Due to the use of 13-inch wheels, the wheel arches could be smaller, allowing a better view out the front. The huge rear plastic window was gone, as were the gull wing doors. The doors hinged forward, and the roof section between the doors could be removed to make it an open cockpit car. The rear body section hinged to allow access to the drivetrain. A total of 28 examples were built. Originally contesting the 2-liter prototype class, when the rules were changed allowing a minimum of 25 cars to be produced, the 910 was automatically qualified as a competition sports car. The 910 seen here is the first example built, serial number 910001.
The successor to that one Spider was actually our 910, which is chassis number 1, and then another one called 910002. Which were both coupes actually, and in the hill climb they ended up being faster than the prototype Spider. The factory didn't run any more hill climb Spiders until sometime later actually. They used the very first 910s to continue on and try to win the hill climbs.
With the 910, Porsche completely dominated the 2-liter class in 1967. Outgunned by the larger engine Ford GT and Ferrari prototypes on the long tracks, they usually ended up finishing in the top 5 while handily winning their class. 4th at Daytona, 3rd at Sebring and Monza, and a 2nd at Spa, were topped only by a pair of overall wins at the Targa Florio and again at the Nürburgring. The 910 also won every hill climb that counted towards the World Championship. Even as the 910 was busy piling up the wins, Porsche was looking to the future. The 907, introduced in 1967, was also an evolution of prior models. Using the chassis and drivetrain from the 910, the 907 was equipped with a completely new body. With the intended goal of overall wins, the 907 was formed in the wind tunnel. Frontal area was reduced by narrowing the cockpit, making for a much tighter, hotter interior for the drivers. The tail section was very different. Long and curvy, it hugged the wheels and driveline and ended in a pair of vertical fins, with some versions having a horizontal spoiler. Rear vision and heat extraction for the engine were handled by a large, vented rear window. At the Le Mans trials in April, it became apparent that while the 2-liter six-cylinder was strong enough to push the 907 to almost 190 miles per hour, the car was not comfortable at that speed. The Lang Heck or long tail had some stability problems that would have to be addressed before it was raced. Although the aerodynamics gave some initial problems, one major feature of the 907 was a marked improvement over the earlier models. It was the first competition Porsche to be right-hand drive.
Well, the 907 was originally conceived to be the lowest drag endurance racing car in the world, which they were successful in doing to this day. It shows you the genius of Piech and the other Porsche racing engineers. The right-hand drive was because most of the race circuits of the world were right-hand, and it's easier for the driver to be on the right hand on the inside of each corner to go faster. So the primary significance in all the race cars it was competing against had right-hand drive as well. So it was just less of a compromise and more towards pure racing. They had more short-tail 907s actually than they did long-tails. And the 908 came about because they recognized in the 907 that they needed a 3-liter engine. The FIA had changed the rules to allow 3-liter cars of one size and 5-liter cars of another. And so the factory rushed to improve on the 907, so they took the 907 bodies and put a big 3-liter flat 8 gearbox in it. And so they had short tails and long tails in 1968, and they were a serious stability problem. They had just begun to solve the stability problem with the 907, but now they switched so quickly to the bigger engine, they hadn't really solved the problem.
With an improved tail, Porsche was ready to take on Le Mans. Unfortunately, an overall win was not to be. Both Ford and Ferrari had entered large factory teams, and the 2-liter 907Ls were overpowered. One retired, and the other, driven by Seifert and Hermann, won the 2-liter class and the Index of Performance, finishing 5th overall. Porsche's dream of an overall win in a 24-hour race would be put on hold. It all came together for the 907L and Porsche at Daytona in February of 1968. Held on February 3rd and 4th, the 24-hour event ended with the 907Ls crossing the finish line 1-2-3. Driven by 5 drivers during the event, the victory was credited to Elford and Nils Bosch with the original assigned drivers. The 907 shown here is the actual winner of the event, the first 24-hour race winner for the Porsche factory. The 907 would go on to 2 more victories in 1968, though in short-tail versions. They won at Sebring and the Targa Florio, but change was once again in the air. Porsche had another model ready to take on the world. In mid-1967, it was ruled that Group 6 prototypes would be limited to 3-liter engine displacement, thus eliminating the 7-liter Fords and 4-liter Ferraris that had steamrolled the competition in previous years. Using the basic platform of the 907, Porsche installed their largest and most powerful engine to date, an 8-cylinder made by adding 2 cylinders to a 911 twin overhead cam conversion. Displacing just under 3 liters, it put out 350 horsepower. Produced in both long and short-tail versions, the 908 had an abbreviated season marked with mechanical failures and occasional success. As lackluster as 1968 had been, 1969 would be brilliant.
The 908 long tails were diabolical, And the advantage of the short tails is they were easier for the drivers to drive. And so they recognized that the 908 longtail and short tail had very short life, just the summer of 1968. And in the spring of 1969, the 908 Spider and its follow-on, the Flounder, came about very quickly, and they trashed all the old 907 frames with 908 bodies on them and made all new aluminum frames for these 908 Spiders. Just a frantic development to try to stay ahead of Ferrari and Matra and other, and Lotus and Lola. So the 908s morphed from short tail and long tail cars to Spiders almost overnight. And they ran all through 1969 that way.
In January of 1969, Porsche unveiled its lineup for the year. It consisted of the 908L, 908 Coupe, and a new model, the Spider. Also known as the 9082, the Spider was basically a 908 Coupe with a top cut off. The 69 season started off badly for Porsche. All the 908Ls retired at Daytona with mechanical failures. Sebring was not much better. The highest finisher was a 908 Spider, finishing third in its first appearance. When the season moved to Europe, the 908 more than proved its worth. They won the next 5 races in a row. 908Ls won at Monza and Spa, while the Spider took first at Brands Hatch, the Targa Florio, and the Nürburgring. The example shown here, 9082, serial number 017, was driven by Seifert and Redman at the Nürburgring. It was also campaigned by David Piper in the 1969 Manufacturers' Championship. Purchased by Niki Lauda, it placed fourth in the 1970 European Inter-Series Championship. The final major victory in 1969 came at Watkins Glen. In a repeat of earlier season victories, the 908 Spiders finished 1-2-3. Despite failures at Daytona, Sebring, and Le Mans, Porsche completely dominated their competition and won the championship with ease. The 908 series continued with the 9083, which was run all the way into the 1972 season. In the hands of both factory and private teams, the 908 proved to be one of the most competitive and sturdy race cars produced by Porsche. It competed in and won both sprint and endurance races. At Road Atlanta in 1970, a 9082, driven by Tony Dean, won a Can-Am race, the first such victory for a Porsche. Quite a feat for a race car introduced 2 years earlier as an endurance racer. In a sport where last month's version is sometimes obsolete, for a race car to be competitive for nearly 4 years is almost unheard of. But even the 908, as good as it was, would soon be eclipsed. It was also a Porsche, and it would have 12 cylinders.